Hey y'all, this is Farron at Do the Damn Show, and this episode is sponsored by Primetime Lawn Care. For all your big or small lawn start over. I was trying to hide the phone.
Well, all right, it's ready.
No, I was trying to hide the phone so you could see it, so I'm just going to hold it up right
just
here.
do it, man. You're old.
So I can actually read it, yeah.
We're leaving that in.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, go for
First time a video. Here we go. Hey y'all, this is Farron to Do the Damn Show. This episode is sponsored by Primetime Lawn Care. For all your big or small lawn maintenance needs, contact Mr. Jason Such and staff at Primetime Lawn Care. You can reach them at 256-606-3064 every Monday through Saturday. Just not on Sundays because they rest on the seventh day.
Will we find the devil in the bushes? No. He will be perched high on the peach tree, devouring and sucking the fruit of the poverty weeds they waste in the field. So revel not in the fascinations of man and realize the accountability of the just and unjust. For at that moment, may we all be caught up like a rushing wind to meet on that jumbo jet flight we call life.
Welcome to Do the Damn Show. I'm your host, the tatted, the fatted, the one and only Casey Hughes. And with me in the studio, as always, co-producer, co-host, producer, Super Farron.
That's me, and we're all freaking out because we're trying video for the first time.
Very first time.
And so we all got nervous like we never did this before. And because you can see that we're tatted and fatted.
Our
so
first
bad.
video guest, Red Caruso.
What up,
My
what
brother
up?
from a different mother, Jeremy Raswell and Bishop Black.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when the spirit hits you? Hey, now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when the spirit hits you? Hey, now what you gonna do? Can I leave my family fortune and still take on no more care? Will the next bed that I take reveal it there? Could you lend your hand for me? Take all my wants and not my needs. I wanna lay my riches up on the other side. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when the spirit hits you? Hey, now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
And we're back. We are back.
We're trying with video though, so it's weird to say we're back.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
weren't people seeing us still here the whole time anyway?
Yeah, they were still seeing us the whole time.
Yeah.
But for the people that are not watching the video,
Oh, that's right, because there's still going to be the audio.
it's going to be like an X-Files.
Oh, we're on a whole nother level, Red.
Speaking of being back, Red Caruso,
What's up?
my brother from a very different mother, for the second time on this episode, you're back.
I am back.
And it's super late for you.
It is.
Are you an early riser, Red?
We're recording at 7 at night.
Yeah.
And I have to drive about an hour to get here.
Yeah. He lives on the opposite side of Huntsville.
What time do you usually go to bed, Red?
Well, I mean, it's not early.
Well, see, here's the thing. My wife gets up at like 4 every morning, and even if she stayed up late, it's just like what happens to her. She always wakes up at 4.
That's right.
So she
Alarm
might
clock.
actually be in bed right now. If not, she will be before 8, I'm
She
sure.
ain't far from it, huh?
Yeah.
I hear you. So, how's your week been, man?
Man, my week has been like the best, dude. It's been the best. And it's leading up to Sunday, which is my first anniversary, and we're having a party, and so I'm pumped.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We gotta. I didn't forget about it, but
Yeah,
I gotta make that mental note. What time is that?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
It's been good.
You sure about that?
Well, it's been all right.
It's been all right.
I've had to execute a lot of love like Jesus.
Yes,
this
sir.
week.
Hey.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is your second time here on the show, and we're just trying to get some episodes. Getting some evergreen stuff out there. And so this is going to be the first video episode that we drop. And I wanted to get you back on here. One, because I love you.
Love you too.
And I can never get too much Red.
Well,
Are
you sure about that?
Yeah, I just don't answer my phone when I do.
Yeah, that's right. He'll say that, but then he'll ghost me for like a week or two.
I never ghost you, and it's not an excuse. I'm a very busy man.
See,
and sometimes I forget the stuff.
I'm pumped about getting to know Red because I haven't gotten to know Red yet. You know, I know he was on the episode before that was awesome and I loved listening to, but other than that, Red, I don't really know you, man. I just hear a lot of good stuff. So
Well, I appreciate it.
There may be some new people that's listening to the show, and I'm not going to go on this huge deep thing. I'm just going to go on a little view of why Red is so important in my life. Because of just how this podcast started, I got tired of people telling me that I couldn't talk about God the way I wanted to talk about God.
Right.
Red was a very influential part of the birth of that version of me, in the sense that he gave the first opportunity to publicly speak about God, and the only rule he had was don't cuss.
Don't cuss.
And I said, I'll fucking try.
That's exactly what he
best,
said.
Man, that is the best.
But it because of the setting that we were in. So Red does brunch and blessings at Shag Nasty's Grubbery and Poorhouse in Huntsville. It's off of Jordan Lane. I think it's 1117 Jordan Lane. That's northwest Huntsville. First and third Sundays at 11 o'clock. You can find Red at Shag Nasty's because Lewis and Trina, it was their idea. That's the establishment owners to give back to the community. So
That's awesome.
Red had a little cult following on Instagram, Facebook, and they liked the stuff that he posted. And so they said, hey, would you like to do this? Would you be interested in doing this, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, he did it for how long? How long were you there before I linked up with you?
At least a year and a half.
So right at a year and a half, I come in there all cocky one day, basically why would I do this? And he did the
Actually,
same
let's
thing.
take that back. Because
You were the
there-
cocky one.
No, you were there for the first year anniversary and spoke, and you spoke at the second year anniversary, and the third is coming up in, I think, November.
So yeah, I want to say it was 8 months actually.
Yeah.
I think it was 8 months that you had done it. Yeah. So
Are you guys done now with the cocky measuring contest?
Yeah. Cock-E measuring
See,
contest.
I had to get that in there.
Oh, well, around here, they call that a sinny sin. Well,
So because of the nature of the ministry that Red was in, he put me through a vetting process. You know what I mean? He's sitting there across from me, and we got to know each other. But I think there was an initial click right off the bat, and we just been friends, brothers ever since.
after probably watching each other for 6 months on social
Yeah.
media without talking, I get a friend request from him.
Yeah.
So I vet it, I accept it, and because the person said that introduced us, like he wants to get with you, he wants to talk to you. So I'm not going to reach out first.
Right.
And he sends me the friend request, and I'm like, look, if the dude's about it, I'm not going to beg him to come talk to me about anything.
Yeah.
Let's see what's about to happen in this conversation. Well, he never said anything. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And then next thing you know, we met in person. Even though the first time he was supposed to be there, he wanted to blame it on a broken motorcycle.
It was, man. We broke down, dude. We broke down on the way there. But it was because of that initial relationship that we had and the opportunity through love. This is how I viewed it, okay? You were able to love me in a way that other people in the position that you were as far as leading a ministry had never been able to do for me before, besides my father. My dad did start doing that in the more recent years. It was just an opportunity to come and express and do. And because of that, there's few people that have been with me through large transformations in life. My dad and my mom, Hayden is one of them. But you have been a huge part of that, and you've been able to witness a lot of that, watching the growth that's happened because of that.
And I'm proud of you still to this day for it.
And it stems from that opportunity. It stems from that olive branch of love that you extended to go, dude, I just, without saying it, I love you for who you are. Just come. There's something in you, just come up here and do it. Just come do the damn show. Basically, is what you did. So
and you cussed, and he still asked you back.
But now I do watch it.
He does watch
I'm
it.
a whole lot better now, and I preface it. I do it out of respect for Red. That's what when I'm there. I do it out of respect for him, but it still comes out.
Yeah.
Shit and ass still. It flies out.
He
Pretty
does
regularly.
lay off the F word for the most part, which
Yeah.
I'm proud about.
Well, let me tell you guys something real quick, Red. This funny. So my little brother was on the show, right? I don't know if you got a chance to hear that episode or not. It's good. It's worth listening to. But he was on the show, and he a couple times, because I know he got comfortable with Casey. Him and Casey known each other longer than I've known Casey, and a couple times he let the word shit slip out, right? Just 2 or 3 times. Well,
Just 2 or 3.
afterwards, yeah.
Well, this is the church's drummer.
Yeah, he's the drummer at our church. Well, afterwards, he told me, he was like, oh, man, you think Mom or Evelyn. We got two moms. We got our mom, and then we got our stepmom Evelyn, who's been in our life for 30 years, and she's amazing also. And he's like, you think Mom or Evelyn are going to listen to this? I'm like, I hope so. Why? He said, dude, I said, shit. And I said, well, I think it'll be okay since the name of the show is Do the Damn Show. Well, the next week, our pastor, Pastor Barry, came in, right? And he did the show, and he made a statement in the show. He was talking about, grace and the fact that, the way God feels about us doesn't change just because we might slip up or whatever. And he said, and it's kind of weird to hear your pastor say this, right? But he said, so you can say damn or you can say shit, and, God's not mad at you and he's not going to send you to hell. So what I did was I told our stepmom, Evelyn, she said she was going to listen to the show. So I said, okay, cool. Well, she listened to the episode with Pastor Barry first, even though it came after. So then I called my brother and I said, you're good, man. You're in the clear. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, Pastor, she listened to his episode first, and he said it's okay to say it. So now you're in the clear. Yeah. So long story, that was obviously really funny to me more so than y'all, I guess.
No. So we're here to talk about love today.
Yes.
That's what, and because you have a natural ability to love a demographic of people that aren't normally loved.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's just we'll call it what it is. That's what it is. I too fall into that category. And I think we both have came from, actually all three of us, really, it's not just me and you. All three of us here have came from an area of where maybe at some point in life we were encouraged not to love that certain demographic of people, to not extend such an olive branch of love to those people because we don't associate with those people, or if they were doing right, or if they did love God, or if they were in something, that what is it, the fruit, you'll know them by their fruits.
Oh, man, yeah.
Absolutely.
I went on a rant with that one time at Shag's. I was like, hell, even a tomato's a fruit. But if I say, go get me some fruit from the kitchen, you're not going to come back with a damn tomato.
Right.
You're going to come back with a banana, grapes, or whatever's in there.
And it's going to be like, well, we know that's also a fruit, but.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But, so I think it's very, I don't want to say fascinating, but it is. I think it's very fascinating with some of the things that you've been able to overcome, Brad, in life through the ministry, and still be as personable as you are. I'm not going to go into the details, but we had a phone conversation the other day that, and we're able to have those conversations because we're still human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I specifically said, some people just need to be skull dragged out of the house. I still have those human emotions. Like, you know what I mean? If you're being a dick to me, like there's the first part of me goes, dude, I will drag you through this parking lot. But I have to push that down because that's not who I am.
That's right.
And it's the things that Farron has said before, because we've talked about being a new creature. Well, that's it. That's the new creature.
Yes.
When the love of Christ and the freedom of Christ and this whole God character relationship that we talk about, that's what comes with that. It's a character changing thing to where now I don't physically want to skull drag people, but I still have that, that emotion to come through there, and it stems from love.
But you know why? The greatest act of love from our lane, since we all believe in God, and God sent his son, and his son died, his son rose. Just the act of him willing to come down here, to be in human form, to be around all the people that hated him enough to sacrifice him. But what did he say? He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
And so for me, that resonated with me with love is, what if I heard one day, hey man, this is God talking. What if God said, hey, I love you, Casey, but I don't love you. I'm not dying for you. I'm dying for him, but not for you.
Yeah.
So then he didn't really, that wouldn't be unconditional love because he said he loved all of us, right?
Yep.
So for me, I've used that in my life is, how do we, anybody, especially the people who follow Christ, have the right to ever give up on anybody or say, no, I can't love that lifestyle. No, I can't love them through that problem. You're not loving their lifestyle. You're loving the person. You know that old Christianese language says, hate the sin, love the sinner.
Yeah.
Well, that's the concept is, look, I don't answer for you. I don't answer for you. I answer to God for me.
That's right.
And how I treat you is a reflection of who I am in my faith through him.
Oh,
So the people that are treated like they're a nobody, guess what? They are somebody. But most importantly, they're a somebody because everybody is to him, who was the all-bodied person that took every one of our sins, our transgressions, our failures. He extended out the power of grace. And with love, I heard you all mention earlier today about grace and mercy, and you talked about grace and mercy just a minute ago, right? I've always said, think about 5. When you handshake somebody's hand or you get a $5 bill out, GRACE, that's grace.
Yeah.
So it starts with the 4-letter word love. And there's a lot of 4-letter words out there. We already said them earlier today. But that's not what we're to focus on. We're supposed to focus on love.
Right.
Because you can't truly get through to your kids, your spouse, your people, anybody, if you don't first let them know that, man, I love you for who you are. I don't care what you do, because that doesn't truly define who you are interior. So we need, I'm going to say this, one thing, you got to get past seeing with physical eyes, people. We have to see, instead of looking at physical sight, get beyond it. See beyond what you can physically see. Get to know the man or woman behind the skin, the shell, the rag, whatever they may have on. Get past it. Get time to know the person. And you can't do that unless you truly have some type of love.
Right.
Red, that, man, holy cow. I love the way you said that and the way you put that. And see what I love about what you said and how you said it. I came to a conclusion, right or wrong, but I believe it's right, a few years ago, because I always heard, well, you got to be careful because if you're, associating with that person or you're being so kind to that person, and then somebody's going to think that you're condoning that sin or that lifestyle, right? But Jesus wasn't worried about that.
Right.
And the Pharisees said to him, oh, he's eating with sinners, or, oh, he's talking to this woman. The thing about it is, it's not our job to change a person.
We can't change.
But it is our job to love. So we can come to the point where we can say, I don't care what that person's going through. I don't care what that person represents that somebody else might think is so unchristian.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that part of it because that's not my role.
Right.
That's God's role. My role is to help them see God through the fog by loving them the way Jesus did.
Yeah.
And when I've whatever you want to call it, figured that out, came to realize it, whatever, opened my eyes, whatever, it freed me up then to hopefully do more like what you guys are talking about, loving those demographics that most quote unquote Christians traditionally have not loved.
Yeah. So I used to do this part of, I guess it was a ministry. I never really kind of labeled it as a ministry, but for a long time, dude, in the height of my drinking problems and stuff that I do, I'd go sit at bars and just strike up conversations with people and buy them beer all night, just to sit there and talk to them about life, because we're all in that bar for a certain reason. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We all have. You're at a bar for a reason, and if you don't think that you are, you need to dissect a little deeper and realize that you're there for a reason. You are there for a reason, especially if you frequent one, like I did.
Yeah.
But
Social
When they know,
Yeah.
when they already have your drink sitting on the bar when you walk in and they see you.
dude, or you walk in and Chad goes, "Hey, I got a new one for you to try."
Yeah.
I was like, because me and Hayden did this thing on Facebook. We did it Facebook Live. It was called "What the Hell's Chad Serving Us?" And because he would bring a flight out, and it was these beers. But I would find myself sitting there having these conversations with these people, and a lot of times, I would get into these. If I drank too much, it's these long banters. That, it's kind of like a fucking roller coaster and rabbit trail. But God shook me one day, and it was the one of the parts that led me up to not drinking was anymore. Is like, you can't escape me. You can't run from me. No matter what you do, no matter where you go, you will do what I have in store for you. And it opened up my mind. And I went, God, you're right. I've been loving people for a long time, even when people told me that I wasn't or don't do that. Now, was it good for my life to sit at the bar 4 nights a week and drink my paycheck and stuff away? No. Did it wreck my physical body? Yes. But I go back to that Romans 8:28. Dude, he works everything together for the good. But I grew up in a sense of people beating you down going, you don't do that. And so and there was a church here in town. I had a conversation with them because they were trying, and I love them for it. They were trying to mentor me through some stuff, and I just wouldn't allow it. But I remember I got frustrated one time. I said, you know what the problem is? There's nobody out here in the foxholes. There's nobody in the trenches. There's nobody doing that. So what's your problem if I'm the one doing it? What is the problem? If you're not going to do it, then somebody's got to do it because there's nobody doing it. And that's what drew me to you.
I think that's why we need, like what you're doing, that's why we need to have groups at Shag Nasty's. Because somebody might say, well, if they're going to do that, why can't they just go to the church that's right down the road? And it's because of what y'all combined just said.
My answer to that is, where else are you going to sit and drink Jack Daniels and listen and talk about Jesus?
Jesus, Jack, and Jim.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, that's,
all right.
And that's the truth. Because dude, you walking in there any given Sunday at Brunch and Blessings, and it's a functioning bar. Matter of fact, it's 21 and up.
Yep.
You can't get in there without it. And it's a functioning bar.
Not a very robust children's ministry then?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we have a great children's program.
No puppet shows or...
But there's a guy that comes and he sits and he drinks natural light every time, I mean, and it's just, that's what it is. But, and people, I know you've had to have this. I know you've had to. People look at it and go, what the hell is he doing?
Oh, yeah.
You know what? That is ridiculous.
You know my answer? The answer is, and this is really what all of us, if we claim to have Jesus in our heart, if we claim that we believe in him and we're out here trying to minister, or we're one of the boxes that we allow people to come in to worship God, better known as church. What is that Bible verse in Corinthians? If a man has no love, I'm paraphrasing, if he has no love, he has nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And really, when you look at it, how often do they preach love and do they talk love? But a lot of Christians, and I'm not going to bash churches because it fits for people, right? So Shags fits for people, church fits for people. But what I don't like is when the people feel that they're in the confines of their comfort, they're against something that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
But they tend to forget them people that are there, they're comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, they wouldn't be in their environment.
Yeah.
So they come to the environment they're part of and they're able to feel that love of God. And
Yep.
for me, I'm telling you right now, God works everything out like you said. And I'm going to tell you why. And I tell people this all the time. First of all, hey, man, you need to just realize that you're important. No, man, you don't know what I've done. Who cares? I don't care. I don't judge you. I don't answer for you, like I said earlier today, right? I answer for me. But I do want you to know that God loves you enough that in Jeremiah 29:11, he said, man, I got a plan.
Yeah.
But
A plan for you.
right. And it's hard to trust that, right? And I tell people, it is hard to trust it. But it says in Exodus 14:14, he says, stay calm. Basically, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
I'm fighting your battles. So we got to let God fight our battles, because if he has that plan, he's called us to it, he's going to call us through it. And then what we need to do is allow our breakthrough that we've had, help somebody when we've experienced our breakthrough and had our been through. When somebody else starts to go through their been through and they need a breakthrough, they can see how you relied on God and your faith and your love in God. And then when you're turning around and being able to love somebody back like that, accepting them right where they are, you're doing what we're called to do. We're to be the epitome of Jesus.
Yeah.
And if Jesus loved on people, like you said, Zacchaeus, the prostitute, look at all the different people that he used. Look at those. And you know, you've been at a fish stockyard before. Those people that are fishing, boy, they some of the foulest mouth people out there in the world.
Yeah.
And they live some of the
He was
craziest
he was a
lives.
sailor.
That's
A
it.
sailor, man. What is the saying? He cusses like a sailor.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know, then people say, okay, Red, I got you. You say that God has got a plan for me and that he's going to fight my battles. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to follow it up with King David. King David said in Psalm 16:1, preserve me. That means keep me, oh God, for in thee do I put my trust. Which means I have to trust that love is real, that four-letter word. Every time I think of four-letter word, think of love. And why is there love? Because of grace, because of mercy. But what does that also spell? Jesus, Jesus. Because of Jesus, he's got a plan. He's fighting for us. We just got to trust him. But why do we got to trust him? Because of what he said just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Say Romans 8:28 again. What is that?
God works all things together for the good.
Right? But you know
That's
what?
paraphrased.
Right. But what do most people do? Man, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what I've done.
Yeah, you don't know what I've done. And you know, he's not going to want me, or I know I'm just going to screw up. You know, I'm going to have another drink.
I have heard so many pastors. I don't want to say it's too late. I've heard so many pastors, so many people. They say, you know, David was a man after God's own heart. You know, and these same ministries, these same organizations will be the ones that crucify people for their actions.
For doing what David did.
For doing exactly what
or
David
less
did.
than what David did, because David murdered somebody so he could have a side chick.
I was going to say, this is the thing. Let's dissect David real quick.
Yeah.
Let's just, because you've thrown out some verses and I'm okay at it. Farron's okay at it. But every now and then we come across people like you can just bam, 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 throw them out. But let's dissect David for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
What all did David do besides Bathsheba?
Well, think about him. It's the traditional Christian walk, okay? He started first as a little kid, right?
Yep.
And he had faith in God. No, in God, I declare in God's name, God will strike you down. I won't. I will strike you down and I will kill you today. He said, as a matter of fact, he didn't say I might. He said, I will. And he did it. Well, then he became a king eventually, but through that, he had his best friend. He had to run for his life. They were trying to kill him.
Yep.
Think about all of that. So it's just like you're walking God. You start off as a young baby, and you're really excited and
That on
strong.
fire for God
That
stage.
on fire, right.
You just came home from the youth conference.
Yeah. But now, real life hits you back again.
Baptized for the third time.
That's
exactly.
right. And now it comes back to real life, and you're like, man, these ups and downs. But I'm a leader. He was elevated to being a king. Do you know it even says in there that he was depressed, that his own people had to come and get him and said, if you don't come stand before your people and lead them, you will die. And they're basically going to be overran. And so he had to do that. But then the story about what he did with Bathsheba, because he was looking at her name, he was like, oh, my goodness.
She was in the pool, man.
Yeah, she butt naked looking good.
He was on the
about?
balcony looking at the pool.
And what did kings in that time do? Kings went to battle. He didn't. He sent Uriah to go, and what happened? He was murdered.
He didn't just send him, he sent him to the front line.
The front line.
Because he knew,
That's it.
I want her. The only way I can have her is kill him.
That's right.
But I can't kill him.
And then what happened as a result of that child? That child died that he had. So he had to experience basically the death, burial, and resurrection in his life. Think about it. The death of what he was, the death of a son. Then he was regenerated, reborn, and ended up back in God and pleading to God in Psalms 51. The best thing of repentance is that chapter. And as he did that, to me, that's like his rebirth when he, in terminology, got saved or whatever, back with God. You know what I'm saying?
And that is a man after God's own heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
God after
So
God's own heart.
These people
he
will
did all
go
this
up there,
bad stuff.
they'll say David is a man after God's own heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Killed his best friend, sent his best friend to die so he could bone his wife.
Yeah.
Basically. Let's just call it what it is. That's what it is.
The lesson there to me too is, despite the things that he did, God still chose him
Yes.
and chose to use him.
Exactly.
And we even today we have an advantage over David because David, went through what he did under that old covenant.
Right.
Well, here we are now under
the
this new covenant.
Yes, sir.
And God chose us, and now what he does when we believe is he sees Jesus in us.
Yeah.
So it's not even that. That's the thing, and it's really hard because it's kind of
So what you're
complicated.
saying? What you're saying is God sees us the way that we see everybody on Snapchat that uses filters. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
but our filter's Jesus.
But that's but in real time,
Right.
that's what it is.
But
I
see,
mean, it's
and God chose David despite what David did,
Yes,
right?
sir.
God chose us because of what Jesus did. So that it is a different covenant.
Yeah.
And David is a fantastic example for us because we can see that God can and will use whoever he wants, however he wants.
So if we
The advantage that we have over David, though, is that now it's not in spite of what we did.
Right.
Again, it's because of what Jesus did.
So it's one of those things like I do not understand. I mean, this is just a real raw moment for conversation for us because this thing's not scripted. It never has been scripted. I don't understand how we look at the Bible, the three people in this room, the people that come on this show, and there's a lot of other people in this city and town and country that look at it, and it's such a simplistic thing that every example, whether it be, pre-cross or after cross or during the cross, everybody that was used was a piece of shit at some point.
Yeah.
Everybody. Paul, Matthew, James,
Moses.
Peter, Moses, Noah.
Yeah.
They all had this thing. I don't understand where we got it wrong. I don't understand where, why. Just take a pothead walk with me for a minute. Why is there a need in our society for a podcast that is trying to justify the freedom and grace inside Christ. You know, when that's what the whole thing is centered around. Like, where did we derail? Where did the curve come in to go? Because we could sit here and talk about these stories, and you can go read them, and you can read all the way through it. And if you find any one of them's story, and you started at the beginning to where they found themselves talking about Christ or talking about God, they went through a process of just being a piece of crap.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head, brother, for love. We really don't, as a whole, we being the body, really don't love people like we say we do. And
Yeah.
they don't, because guess what? When they went through that process, a lot of people nowadays, they're not willing to help you through the process because they want you to look this way, dress this way, talk this way.
Right.
And if you've had any sin in your past, if you've been divorced, you're not good enough to be anything in a lot of those people's. And, you know, because of the lack of love, what did they have to do to keep their people under control? Establish what's called religion.
Yeah.
They've lost the relationship.
Control is the operative word.
Yeah, and religion, and that's right there where the rubber meets the road when we say religion and Jesus are not the same thing.
No, sir.
A
They are
relationship
not.
with Jesus is not dependent on which denomination or which things you believe which way, or whether you go to church or not, or what you've done before or haven't done before. Relationship with Jesus is not dependent on any of those things, but religion is
Yeah.
on like all of those things. Yeah, that's
Religion, I know this sounds corny, dude, but it's as real as I can be. Religion almost killed me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Jesus is what saved me.
Yes,
Religion
Seriously,
almost
that's not
turned me away from
Yeah,
it.
religion, it literally almost put me in the ground twice.
Yep.
Because I was trying. I was trying to perform. I was trying to do. I
Meeting
was
expectations that you can't meet.
Yep.
That's why God has grace, mercy, and forgiveness. You getting me fired up because when I know that story of what you're talking about where you almost died and
Yeah.
those several of those stories, and that really pisses me off because if we really loved people, we would get rid of legalism altogether.
Yes.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have all of that mess at all. And it's boiled down to two simple verses. And I want anybody watching this, anybody listening to this to know, for God so loved the world that he gave it. It's free. Gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. He did that because he loved you, because you're loved. And yeah, you're gonna screw up. You know, you had a past, a present, and a future. And in the future you might screw up. You might slide backwards. But it says in 1 John 1:9, if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us. Not just forgive us, but then cleanse us from that atrocity, that unrighteousness. So anytime we screw up, if we're sincere and hit our knees, now we're not supposed to misuse his grace, but he has orchestrated a great plan from the Old Testament to the New. He's got a plan. He fights for you. Trust him because he forgives you and he loves you enough that he died for you, man.
You see
If
why I
we
love
could
him?
do that, dude, I don't understand why we can't do that.
right.
I mean,
And more importantly, why we can't do that for people, and I'm not just picking on us, man, I'm not, but let's just face it, what it is. We had this conversation before we came in, you know, people hear it and they go, well, if it's a spiritual show, then why is it called Do the Damn Show, and yada, yada, yada. We get more Pharisaic condemnation from people
that are supposed to be like us.
that are supposed to be preaching grace,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or they are preaching grace, and they don't know they're preaching grace. Like, I do not understand. Now I'm getting fired up, dude.
That's the key in my opinion. Okay, for whatever my opinion's worth, is they do not understand what grace is. And you know, you said something about all of these examples that we have, regardless of if it's Old Testament, New Testament, before the cross, after the cross, all these examples that we have of how people were so screwed up and made such bad decisions and did such bad things first, and then God used them and changed them. And I believe that that pattern is to always remind us that it's not about anything that we can do
Yeah.
or can't do. It's not about us. It's about when you surrender and understand that the dependence on God
Yeah.
is what's necessary.
You know,
Stop trying to do it yourself. Stop
that
trying to do it
scares
your
people,
way.
though. Dependent,
Exactly.
that word dependence, you might as well say submission.
Yeah,
Because
that's what it is.
People, they're so scared of it because God has been this Zeus character with a lightning bolt all their damn life.
Yep.
All their life. And if you do wrong, he's going to strike you down. You know, there was a time in my life that I believed if I did something enough, I would end up with cancer. You know, and I would die at a very young age. I had prayers in college. Actually, it started when I was a kid because I was a little fat kid, and now I'm just a fat adult. But I didn't think.
Fatted and fatted,
Yeah,
brother.
that's right. Hey, I'm on my way. I go to the gym. I'm at the gym. But
Not me.
It's one of those things where I was a kid, and I remember these prayers, dude. I can go all the way through to when I married the first time. I started out as a kid. God, before you come back, just allow me enough life to have a girlfriend. Finally made it to a girlfriend when I was in my teens. I remember laying in my bed in college going, God, my uncle died. I remember laying in bed going, God, before you come back, just allow me to have the opportunity to find somebody and become engaged. God, before you come back, allow me to marry this person. God, before you come back, allow me to have kids. And it was all these requests based off of fear.
Yeah.
God, I'm so scared that my life's not right. And if I can just get to this point, I think if I get a wife, I'll get straightened out and then I'll be closer to you. Just wait until that point before you come and wipe us all out. That is a fucked up mentality to have.
Well, you know,
I'm just
Red-
gonna, I mean, it is what it is, dude. It is so bad, but it comes back from that dependence. People are scared to be dependent upon God because of that mentality.
Well, and it's like what Ray was talking about, love, right? The love of God. Okay. Well, when we hear the term tossed around, like when we were being raised and growing up, we hear the word tossed around, but the bigger impression on us was that whole image of, like you said, God with the lightning bolt ready to get us, right?
Yeah.
So I was raised kind of that way, not because anybody that raised me, was a horrible person and did it wrong on purpose. It's just we were caught up in that religion and that legalism, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I was raised. Well, I got two little boys now, Red. They're 9 and 7. And I'm doing the best I can to teach them that God is a God of grace and a God of love. And, and they believe it as much as they can. But I've noticed something, okay? When I was their age and I did something I wasn't supposed to do, there was some fear there of, oh, man, I'm going to be in so much trouble, right?
Yeah.
It seems to me that the majority of the time when they do that and do something they ain't supposed to do, I think to myself, how in the hell can they just do that and be fine with it and not, and then I think, oh, it's because they don't believe that God's up there with a lightning bolt waiting to strike them down like I did. So, while I'm glad they're learning the truth and the true way, I understand the pull and the desire and the usefulness, for lack of a better way to say it, of having that little bit of control and that little bit of fear, because if they thought, well, I can't do that, I'd be in so much trouble or God would be mad at me. Well, now they're like, well, Jesus did it for me. I'm like, but you still can't just do that, know, and they're kids.
I mean, and I think there's a huge difference between guidance, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And control.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're called to guide our children.
Yeah.
And
it's
discipline them.
It's
too.
like,
They need to be disciplined.
It's like bumpers at the bowling alley. You know what I mean? When you're a kid, you bowl with the bumpers up. It's just what you do because you're going to throw a gutter ball every time.
Yeah.
If you don't have somebody there to go, look, there's a better way. And this is kind of cheating. This is kind of cheating. Let's just call it what it is. You make your kids feel special because they can actually hit a pin. Somehow my kids still roll gutter balls. I don't. Zeppelin, she will roll a gutter ball with the bumpers up. It's like it curves at the end and just goes, drops off. No pins. I don't understand it. But at some point we have to lower those and go, okay, look, you can throw this ball any way you want to throw it. But if you throw it this way, you're going to have a better outcome than what you've got if you just don't. If we leave the bumpers up their whole life and there's no consequences and there's no discipline and there's no guidance, then they're going to think it's that easy and they're just going to go through life that whole way. But I think we get that mixed up with God because that's how God allows us to grow. And at some point, he just puts the damn bumpers down.
The challenge for me, though, is as a dad and wanting to teach them about the God of grace, without having the whole condemnation thing. I had the bumpers when I was supposed to have the bumpers. The difference was I thought that if I still rolled the gutter ball, then I was going to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the difference.
And I think we're just revamping, or we're not revamping. We're giving new vision to society in a sense of, I want people to know that God loves you.
Yes.
Like he loves you. And there is correction. There is consequence. We've talked about that on this show. If I get out here and run 80 and a 40, there's a consequence associated with that. It's the same thing. I have to consciously do things that are good for me, but not because God loves me any less. If I don't do that, but I have to be open-minded enough and open-hearted enough and love myself enough to make good decisions because I do have a brain.
And that's because you love God. And I tell people when I work with people and you see people make that transition to begin the process or maybe through the process or even they need a little bit more love after the process is, hey, guess what? I'm going to love you enough to tell you the truth that there is a heaven and there is a hell. And yeah, you're going to be destined for one of the two. Yes, we have endless grace. We have his mercy that he's given us. But at the end of the day, we can't just go and continue to live any way we want because as you're going through that process, if you really have chosen to love Jesus, right, and you've said, I declare that he's going to be the Lord of my life, we're going to screw up. We'll still make mistakes. But our mistakes and our screw-ups start to change and get smaller because we're going to have that, in our brain. We'll get that Holy Spirit convicting us. And for me, I try to be a simple man, as Mama said it. I told him one time about this process called 778 that also applies to loving somebody.
That's just Gomer Pyle.
That's right. That's 778.
Golly.
7 spells what? Forgive. So forgive. Why? Because you're forgiven. That's the number 8. That's 8 is forgiven. That's forgive. Why? Because you got Jesus. Jesus did it.
Yeah.
And so if he's willing to do those things for us and he loved us that much, man, you people out there that are listening that may not ever have felt loved, felt abandoned, rejected, you guys are loved more than you ever know. And I guarantee if you meet any one of us 3, you're going to be shown that love because we're going to love you for who you are.
You know, it depends on how long you sit at the red light.
Well, Casey, you're right. He will tell you to pull over. He will ride up to your window and say, pull over.
Well, Red,
I'm working on it, man.
I love what you're saying, Red. I would take it even a little step further. With what you said, I believe that you can, and I know this is just semantics, but I believe that you can keep living once you believe in Christ. You can keep living and doing whatever it is you want, but I believe that because I believe he changes you and the things that you want now. Because some people worry about grace being a license to sin, right? But that's not how it's supposed to be, because now you're talking about religion and you're talking about what you can earn based on what you do and what you don't do. But if Jesus truly does make you a new creature, and
you'll want to be different.
There you go, man. Exactly. And I'll tell you this too, and there might be some people, this might ruffle some feathers. Okay. There you go. Let me preface it with this. I love my church. I love the church that I'm in right now. I've been in some churches, though, that I wouldn't want to be back in. And my church 15 years ago, I wouldn't want to be back like it was, okay? So I love my church. I'm not knocking churches when I say what I'm about to say. But I believe that if for whatever reason Jesus was physically here again as a man, that on a Sunday morning,
He wouldn't be at the church.
he'd be at Shag Nasty's.
Yeah.
Probably.
That in somewhere like that. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and because that's what his entire ministry was based on. His entire ministry, dude. I think people, we have, this is going to sound terrible. Y'all just, if you're listening, watching, and you're just going to have to read through the lines, okay? The man came and just walked around. You know what I mean? I think we put him on a pedestal, which he should. I get it. But we forget the fact that all he did was walk around and talk. That's what he did. He went to those people, and he met people right where they were at. It's not like he had this big, huge synagogue that everybody traveled to see him. Now, he did feed the 5,000.
Sure.
And they gathered, but that's not how he started. You know what I mean? He just, there were crowds of people everywhere. And I love that story about who touched me. The woman who had the ailment for so long. And, who touched me because my power left and this and that. So the popularity of Christ and the reason that he was doing that came for a reason, you know?
And you just said it, Casey. He went to them.
He
He didn't pick a place and make it fancy
Or
and
a day
stay
or
there.
a time.
No,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And he didn't try to make it a certain way and then say to them, so if you want this, come here.
And at some point,
And if you don't come here, then you're out. He didn't do that. He went to them.
at some point, and nobody thinks about this. At some point, he had and it's not in the Bible. This is just, he was part human. He was here. He was born of a human woman. At some point, he had to make a decision to stop working and go do what he was called to do. Because he was a carpenter. That tells me he had a job. You ever met a carpenter?
Yeah, your daddy.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not easy work.
No, I still
But
don't
can you
understand when y'all were shouting out 316, 478. All these numbers.
Red accompanied us on a work day one day, and we were rebuilding a deck. We took an old deck apart, used all the good components of it, cut it up, put it back to where it was new, and
Out of love. That was an example of love.
And me and my dad, just because of the way we're geared,
They talked like they were speaking Chinese to me, but they understood each other.
So, but I mean, we forget that. We forget that human side of it. Like, at some point, I dare to say there had to be a position to where Jesus was sitting there going, well, God, is this what I'm supposed to do?
Is it time?
Like, is it time? Is it time for me to go? Is it time for me to do this?
I've kind of wondered. I mean, I hadn't really wrapped my brain around it and worried, stayed awake thinking about it. But it's occurred to me before. Wonder why God did it that way. Jesus' ministry, as we understand it, was between the ages of 30 and 33.
Yeah, 3 years, man.
Now, we know that he was perfect. He's the only perfect man that ever walked the earth, right? But what was he doing when he was 26?
Yeah, exactly.
27.
No,
Was it just framing
thing,
houses? I mean,
framing houses, smoking Marlboro Reds and framing houses.
yeah, I mean,
my favorite thing when I was a kid, Fox 54 came out. There was a special that ran about Jesus, and they had a scene in there, and I remember my dad raised hell about it because it wasn't scripturally sound. They had a scene in that television special at 12 years old. Jesus healed a dead bird, like he walked into the street, and it was miracles when he was a kid. You know what I mean? He walked up, picked that bird up, looked at it, and then it flew off.
I think that might be in one of, I could be wrong. So listeners, feel free to email me at casey@dothedamnshow.com. But I think that might be in one of the apocryphal books that's, like in not necessarily the Protestant canon, but the
Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I think it might be because I've heard that before. Yeah,
it's one of those things like, what did he do?
Right.
He came, he was here.
Yeah.
And we've briefly talked on that. Red's, he's not a stranger to it. I've brought it up before that, there are three major religions in the world. You have Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. The Jewish Bible is the Torah. The Muslim Bible is the Quran. And then we have the Holy Bible. And then you have the, Roman Catholic. It's Roman Catholic Bible.
Well, it's the same. They
It's the
still have
same.
ours, but
Yeah,
they
it
have
is.
them.
It just
They
has
got a
some
couple
extra
extra books.
Right.
Judith,
But
Tobit,
all three of those,
Barak.
of all three of those religions, right? All three of them, two of them acknowledge that Christ was born of the Virgin Mary. Two of them do. Those two are Islam and Christianity. The Jewish Torah is the only one that denounces it. So to me, that's omission. Right off, he existed because you have to denounce it. So the fact is, the man walked the earth. He was here. He was here. You have a historical recording of a man, Yeshua. We can argue about his name all day long. It doesn't matter. He was here.
Right.
Two of them said, this is how he got here. And two of them say, this is what he was. This is who he was. He was the Son of God. He was born of the Virgin Mary. What that did for me was it solidified it. If this right here, now I don't agree with a lot of Islam, you know what I mean? I just don't. To me, it's a historical reference because I am a Christian. I do claim Christianity. I believe in Jesus Christ, the birth and the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. But it's a historical account that solidifies it. And even the stories that are in those, the man came to love people. That's all he did. He came to love people, and he didn't build something for people to come and love him. Does that make?
Yeah,
like,
that makes.
right.
That's a great point.
I don't know where we got it wrong.
That's why.
And it's so easy to look at things and go, people, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, you know what? You're damn right it is. It's crazy because you can't control people with that. People will not live in freedom if all they have to do is love each other. Because then what makes me better?
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And I don't understand it, dude. I don't. That's why we're here. That's why we're here, is to let people know, like there is a God out there. There is. I will die. I'm the only son of a bitch that's lived my life. I've watched him pull me out of the trenches. I've been the least. I've been the piece of shit. I've worked my ass off. I'm fixing to get emotional, dude. I ain't never done this on this show. I have worked my ass off to get to where I'm at, and I've been through it. And the only thing that got me there is the grace and love of an almighty, powerful God.
Hey,
Yes,
speak
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
That's the only thing that's got me to where I'm at.
That's true.
And for people to look and go, you're doing it wrong. Man, I don't look at you and tell you you're doing it wrong. I just say, what went wrong? What happened?
Right.
Why are we creating more people that have to live a shitty life because they can't add up to who they think that they should be? When God only says, I see you through your little BS Snapchat filter. I see you through the filter of Christ. Love yourself because I already love you.
Yeah, and I just want you to come to me.
I just want you to come
Because
to
I want you
me.
to come home.
Yeah, just come home.
Just come home.
Just come
And
home.
just rest. That's that whole. Come on.
Thank you so much, man.
Throw those burdens to us.
Rest.
Throw the burdens. Just come and rest, man.
Rest.
Live. So religion just keeps the masses at bay, I think.
Yes, sir.
And if we would just really love each other and be there for people, more people would want to be part of that Jesus. Because you can get around all of the, what was he doing there? What was he doing there? What was that? Well, how about this? I'll give you something crazier to think about. What was God before Genesis? Where was he? How was evil allowed in heaven? Satan was up there and he got cast out and he took people with him, those fallen angels. So you really want to start getting people twisted. That's why I tell people, don't worry about what was. Worry about what is, and that's right now that you're here.
Yeah.
God loves you. He's given us enough information to know that he loves, so we got to love. He forgives. We need to forgive. He was willing to be walking, as you said, place to place, right beside you. Right. Just Peter's the best example right there for me is he was walking on the water. And God said, keep your eyes on me, bro. I got you.
Yep.
He took his eyes. He started to sink. He looked back. I got you. How much can we just love people? Say, man,
You know,
I love you. God's got
Red,
you.
that is so solid.
But that's
You know,
all I got to say
what's-
about love.
What's sad?
you just Forrest Gumped us.
That's so solid and such a great way to put that. And the only thing that makes me sad is I can't imagine there's a T-shirt big enough for that.
For
you know
that
what I'm
to go
saying?
on it, yeah.
Because that was a lot more than a
Mama
T-shirt.
said we
But
was a simple man.
yeah, if we could figure out a way to make that, a sentence that said all that, holy cow.
Something else that I don't think Christ ever did was pass around a plate. I'm pretty sure he told his apostles, go, don't take extra tunics.
That's right.
Don't take the stuff you need. Don't take any food.
He passed around a plate, but the difference was
He fed people.
it was to give to other people,
Right.
not for them to give to
Right.
him. Yes,
he
sir.
didn't. He didn't walk around going, "Hey, Matthew, the tax collector,
Yeah.
go collect taxes and come back and fund this mission." I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because the society and the world that we've built, monetary relief, we have to have it.
Sure.
But we built that demon. God didn't build it.
That's right.
But he told the tax collector, "Don't take anything with you. Don't take nothing with you. Just go to these people. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
Stay as long as you can. Eat what you can, and leave.
And if they don't
go do
want
it
you
again.
there, leave.
Yeah.
Leave. If they don't want you there, shake the dust from
Yeah.
your feet
Yes, sir. And roll out.
and leave."
Yes, sir.
More people need to understand the true nature of Christ. And I don't give a shit where you get it from. I don't care what you read. I don't care if you get it from Wiki. I really don't care. If you start a genuine relationship, and I know I say it a lot on this show, but if you start a genuine relationship with this God character, he will redefine himself to you. He will redefine himself to you, and you will begin to operate inside of a life that you never thought that you could have. Don't mean that you're going to get a damn Kenneth Copeland jet. It don't mean that you're going to not have strifes. It doesn't mean that you're going to have commas and commas and commas in your bank account. You might. But let's face it, we're not all roofers. We're not all fry cooks. We're not all CEOs. Everybody has different talents. So your journey with God is going to look different than somebody else's. But if we continue to just love people and walk through life and love people, it will change.
Absolutely.
And it will change their life in a way that my life was changed with you. Because the man that is sitting here today, and you've known me for a long time, the man that is sitting here today is not the man that met you.
That's right.
He's a different man
100%.
because it was God became real to me because I began able
And I
to
never
love
told
myself.
you to change, did I?
No, never. No, other than don't cuss. But
That's
we see how well that worked out.
But he still let you stick around, even though you did.
He
So there
still-
you go.
I got you a
He still
t-shirt.
did.
A
You know,
t-shirt.
me and you know each other from bar days, man.
Yeah.
That was when you busted. That was your bust open moment. I was
Yeah.
a bartender at Maria's, and that's why we have the same tattoo artist. This tattoo was the first one I got from Craig, and it says "Death by Habits."
Yeah.
That's what it was, because I knew then I had a problem. I was 24 or whatever it was, 25. But you know, so I'm not the same man I was then. This is just more recent. But I'm not the same man I was there. You're not the same person that
No,
was
I'm
there,
not.
and you ain't the same person as when I met you. And that's all because of love. The whole
Have I
thing
gotten
is because
better
of love.
though?
No, you're worse.
That's what I thought.
Hey, I
Man.
want to hear Red. You said you had a T-shirt.
Well, a good t-shirt to define all of that is to open the door for people. You can just say rest. Just the word rest.
I'd
And
wear
then-
that.
So if you put rest on your back, right? And then
Yeah.
put how did I say it? Yeah. TLR. Trust, love, and rest. If you would just trust in God, love people, and rest everything in his hands, you'd be able to rest.
That's it right there,
Yep.
man. That's good stuff.
So I got a
Red.
good piece of art to put with this episode. It's a door. I have this door tattooed on my arm. It's from a song, Flogging Molly song. It's called "The Sun Never Shines on Closed Doors," and it's SON. The sun never shines on closed doors. So I wanted a tattoo for that because that was a big song for me. But I also wanted to mix in some Rolling Stones. I see a red door and I want to paint it black. So it's a red door being painted black that's half open. But I did a piece of art and it's a red door and it's cracked open. And at the bottom it says grease the hinges and keep it cracked. And then behind the door is like this explosion of light and clouds and stuff coming through, because that's all we really have to do. We just keep the hinges greased and keep it cracked. Just don't close it. Don't close it. Don't allow people to influence in your life to close that door for you. You don't have to open it. You don't have to jump in I'm all about God. You don't have to do that. Just grease the hinges a little bit and keep it cracked open. And I promise you, he will open that door and he'll push on it. And then you'll find yourself opening other doors. You'll have the confidence to do
I want
that.
to see that piece of art, man. You know what would be cool? If I know we're still kind of baby stepping through this podcast stuff. This is the first time we've tried to use video and all that stuff. It'd be cool if you had a good photo representation of that piece of art, and we could put it on
yeah, it's
show
digital.
notes on the
It's a digital piece. So.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. We put it on the website and show notes or something. That'd be awesome.
So, well, that brings us. We're winding down to the end of it. I mean, Red, you've already been on here, and I cannot remember. You have to forgive me. Did I ask you the questions?
I can't remember either.
All right, so
Let's
we'll just
do
do
it.
it again. We'll
Let's
do it
do
again. It's a rebirth.
Just remember, trust, love, and rest.
Yes.
Trust, love, and rest.
That
Trust,
would be
love, and
awesome.
That's the
rest.
T-shirt.
I love that.
Red Caruso.
No, I didn't put my name on it. Trust, love, rest. I think that would be great because that opens up so many questions.
If I had 3 hands, so I only have 2, and I got the
Do it-
true
do
love.
it again.
But if I had 3 hands, I'd redo it.
Hey, you got
trust,
feet.
love, and
Do it
rest.
across the toes. Do it across the
your
piggies.
toes.
Yeah.
Hey, Oscar the other day, my 9-year-old, we got a bearded dragon named Abraham Lincoln, and we were talking about getting tattoos, and what if we got a tattoo of him, right? So here's what he tells me and Angela, 9-year-old brain. He says, well, do y'all do this? You know how Dad's got those letters on his fingers? Yeah. So he said, Angela, on your fingers you get Abe, and Dad, on your fingers you get Braham Lincoln.
That's good. So what's them 3
love it.
questions?
All right, so you've been on a road trip, and you're going a long distance, driving to Florida. People know where you're going. You stop at a truck stop. What are you getting? What are you coming out of the truck stop with?
A Dr. Pepper.
That's it?
Nothing to
That
eat.
lame
Nothing to
ass answer?
eat. Nothing to
A
eat.
Dr. Pepper? Christy, are you in here? No, she's not
No,
here.
she's not in here.
She's
no,
not here.
if I go in, you say I'm going on a road trip.
Yeah, you're on a road trip. You've been driving.
Florida.
Yeah, you're going to anywhere. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. Anywhere. You've
but
been
somebody
driving.
knows I'm coming.
Yeah, that was an inside joke.
Oh, I got you.
That was an inside
That's
joke.
why I thought.
I wonder why your
I was
question was so
thinking
much
that.
more specific.
It takes all
Yeah.
comedic value away if I have to spell it out.
Don't
Mom.
spell it out. But if I go into the gas station, I'm probably just going to get a Dr. Pepper, and I might get my favorite pastry. That is one of those Danish filled things, the Vienna Danish.
Yes, dude.
That
Vienna
is-
cream.
That's it.
See? Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's better than bear claw.
So I have the void in my life. If there's a Vienna cream, one of those things.
Yeah.
They got that weird tan label.
Yeah.
Or it's a Mrs. Freshley's curly honey bun, but it's chocolate filled and it's got like chocolate. That's my weakness, dude. If it's in there, I'm coming
In a
out with
Danish,
it.
I'll get it
I
every
don't look
time I
for
stop.
it, but I'm coming out with it.
Whether you're tatted or not, us fatted guys like the two of us, we know a lot about the specifics of these snacks.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Christmas. You're a kid. You can pick your favorite Christmas. You get up. What's under the tree? What's the one thing that stood out to you?
The Alf skateboard.
No way,
Did you say
dude.
Alf?
Yeah.
Alf.
As in Alf, the puppet Alf? The
ALF.
Yeah, ALF.
Yeah.
Wow.
The outer
Yeah.
space elf.
Yeah.
That was from space.
Whoa.
That lived with a human family.
Alien life form.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alf.
but an Alf skateboard.
Yep, his picture was on there. That's when Alf was popular.
Dude, you know what that
That
would be
just blew
worth
my
now?
mind, dude. That's
Yeah,
So-
it probably would be worth money. Do you
Yeah.
know that I had every pair of Jordan that came out from the early 90s all the way until 1996?
Holy shit, what was that like?
But you know what I did? I worked. So I didn't have to pay bills, so I bought my shoes. But do you know what I did with every one of those Jordans?
Did you paint them and give them to
No.
some kids before they went to school?
I joined the military and I decided I couldn't take them with me, so I just took them to a thrift store.
Ouch.
I had no clue they'd be worth money
Ouch,
today.
ouch. Yeah.
So,
So-
you've got many of these, so I know it's going to be hard for you. Okay. Oh, by the way, before I forget, Alf, I don't know if it's true, but I've seen a little snippet. You know how it comes through your Facebook feed that Ryan Reynolds is going to rebirth Alf.
No, that'd be cool if it
How amazing.
Can you
Especially
imagine?
if it's him doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
how
can you
amazing.
imagine Ryan Reynolds voicing?
Oh, my gosh, man.
That would almost be. I think it's going to be on the level with Ted.
It
Yeah.
feels,
I
it feels
think it's.
kind of
I
like
think it's going to be on that
it
level.
feels like it was meant to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the last question, Red. It's your tombstone message, the message to the masses. God forbid something happened to you on the way home tonight, and this is the last thing that Red hears. What is it? Or the last thing people hear from Red. What is it?
God loves you the most.
Boom. Short.
go. That's awesome.
short. Another T-shirt.
Man,
Another T-shirt.
Yeah.
man, we're going to have so many.
So many T-shirts, man.
maybe
so
they'll
many
be-
T-shirts.
Maybe they'll become collectible.
Hey, there we go. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, Red, thank you for being here.
Right on.
You know,
It's a privilege.
You're going to be here again. This is the second time, so it's going to happen
Oh,
again.
yeah,
I promise you it's going to happen again. I apologize in person and where I can be held accountable for not answering your phone calls. My phone rings a lot.
Hey, but to be fair, I was at a point in time where I was calling him a lot.
Yeah.
So-
and that's okay. I just didn't answer it.
Yeah. And so then I stopped calling, and then he calls like, "You okay?" Yeah. I was like, "Well, you never return my calls anyway."
Right. I got you. Well, I got a prediction.
Yeah.
I don't think anything bad's going to happen to Red on the way home.
No, me either.
But since Red said that he's got this long drive to get back there and it's so late, I do think he's going to stop somewhere and get a Dr. Pepper and what was
Vienna
the other
cream.
thing? And a Vienna cream.
Well, my wife is here, so we've got to eat dinner because we were supposed to, since we were going to start at 7, and we ended up not till 7. I should have went and ate
Yeah.
because she really wanted to go.
But
to
now you can go to Waffle House.
whatever that Mexican restaurant was called is what she wanted.
Las Vias.
oh, that's
right there
delicious.
on 6th Avenue.
She wanted that special dip they have.
Yeah. So you can, I'll tell you when we
You
get
know,
back.
we're not. They don't sponsor us or anything, but maybe if we could get one of the guys from over there to hear this, since we gave them that shout out,
Get some
We'll get some
tacos.
free of that dip.
Listen, this is awful, but it happened today at work. The guy was telling the story. He was at a vendor, or he was at a vendor meeting, and the guy came in. He's like, "Man, I had this awesome Mexican burrito for lunch." And the guy looks at him and goes, "As opposed to what other kind of burrito?" Hey, I'm gonna go get some Italian pizza.
Somebody needs to come up with that, man. Hey, have you tried the new Asian burrito?
It's called an egg roll.
Yeah. You know what? I bet though, if you stop at a Pilot or whoever it is that has all of the different kinds of hot dogs on the thing that spins, and they'll have like 10 different flavors of them. I bet there is one.
I bet there probably is.
There's
those little
probably
Cornados.
something that's called like a hot dog burrito, something. I bet there is.
I bet it is. And, if you run into life and you have some issues and you got some extra hot dogs laying around and you need to feed somebody, but you also need lawn work, that was a terrible transition.
Wow.
But hey, I'll roll anything together.
I'm the producer. I will not edit that out.
No, don't do that. So you can call Jason Such at Primetime Lawn Care, 256-606-3064. And if he's there, if you do call him and he's mowing your yard, take him a glass of tea and give him a hot dog did you have left over? Because it's the only way I knew how to segue.
Did you say?
It's the only way I knew how to segue into that. There's not a whole lot of ways to do that.
I say this in love, okay? It was the worst segue I've ever heard in my entire life.
But
Do you ever listen to the podcast Smartless?
No.
They have a thing at the end where they always have to come up with a way to say bye, and they have some really bad ones.
Yeah.
But your hot dog one was the worst. Hey, your hot dog one was the worst.
Hey, can you give us a Gomer Pyle from the halls of Montezuma on the way out?
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, I will fight my gun. Oh, why you gonna laugh at me? My mama said laughing ain't showing love, you fatty, tatty, fat boy.
My deathbed and my journey's to a close. I need the comfort of my kin to light my way. Don't fret for my soul, please, cause I found my inner peace. Won't you join me as I tarry on the riverside? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when I spit at you? Hey, now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?